Good afternoon, Zachary.
Good afternoon, Tim.
How's it going, dude?
It's good. It's going good.
Um,
So you are my guest on the show.
yes,
the
sir.
podcast. So, we've been talking for a while, like just before this episode. So some things you wanted to talk about were like music and like where we started and everything. So I guess we'll start with you. Like, what was it that made you say like I want to start making music? Like, what was it?
It's like a really good question. I thought about it for so long that I don't even know a simple answer to it because of how detailed I would like internalize the answer. But basically, it all started when I was like, probably like 8th grade. I started smoking weed, dude.
At 8th grade?
8th grade, yeah. I had a friend named Star. My friend Star has a brother named Colby, and I was friends with him since like kindergarten, dude. And like, he told me he tried it with her, and then I asked him like, how was it? Because I was playing Minecraft, and you had like drugs in Minecraft, like smoking weed, cocaine, like grow fucking sugar cane, turn it into cocaine, make a piece of paper and it's LSD. You see colors and wavy shit. It was hilarious. Stuff like that makes you want to try it, and
yeah. Especially when you're young, you get like influenced by anything.
Yeah, exactly. So I asked him like, how is it? Like 1 to 10. How fun is it? And he was like 10. I was like, that sounds awesome. I want to try that. Like I don't even know what it was about it that I wanted to try it. It was just like
weed.
At all. Like I had no reason to do it really. It was just like curiosity killed the cat kind of thing.
Right.
But anyway, I started smoking weed a lot and doing a lot of that stuff. And I remember being in 8th grade. At this point of time, for the longest, I had only listened to dubstep. Like dubstep was the.
You too? You listen to dubstep?
Ever since like 6th grade, dubstep.
Dude, me too. That was my like shit. That was my go-to. Like,
yeah, like
dubstep.
I used to sleep listening to that shit. Fucking Skrillex. Yeah. Wah, 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 wah. I would sleep to that somehow with max volume on.
Yep. Same here.
It was therapeutic. I don't know what the fuck it was. But pretty much I had no other music to listen to aside from that at that point. And I was getting a lot of introspective thoughts because, like when you first start smoking weed, it really makes you aware of your thoughts. And like you get stuck in like a thinking phase and you're just stuck there. And then you like wake up from it even though your eyes are open the whole time, and you're like, oh my God, like, I just came up with the most amazing idea ever.
Yeah.
And then you can't remember a single thing.
Yeah.
You like come to all these profound conclusions of life, and you can't remember a single thing. And I just remember like getting depressed and thinking all these like really terrible, lonely thoughts. Like, why am I the only real person? Why am I the only person here? Because I would be in like 8th grade.
Like depersonalized and all that.
Yeah, I would be in like 8th grade math class. Everyone's taking a test or like something, and the teacher says, be quiet, focus on your work, look at your own paper. And everybody's just doing their work. And I remember like looking around the classroom and being like, I'm the only person here right now.
Yeah.
Like everyone else is doing something. Everyone else is like in the Matrix kind of, before I even knew about the concept of the Matrix or anything. I had seen the movie The Matrix when I was a kid and stuff, but it didn't like ring any personal bells until later on when I started doing psychedelics and stuff. But I look around the room and I'm like, why am I the only person conscious, aware in this moment, asking, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? So I started asking my questions that no one usually asks until you start doing the introspective thoughts. Like, people will have the deep down question, like, why are we here? What's the point of life? But they won't like actually think about it or question it because they're not forced to. But I feel like when you do psychedelics and like,
it just opens up that door, like those doors. Like,
and weed is like a mild psychedelic. So like anytime
for sure
you do it, it causes you to think really introspectively and like deeply, and like it forces you, like you can't control your mind when you're on that shit. So, you just go as far as you can
it's
to the
fun,
void.
dude, because when I used to smoke, I would either go back in my memories, like it was like I was going through folders and shit, and my memories would be like real, like it was like I was there for a moment, and then I come back and I'm like, whoa, I'm in my room right now. Like,
that's like what I was talking about. I'd be like,
and then I'd imagine shit, like,
and it's the same feeling.
And it's like the same. It's amazing. It's cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But like,
it's not the same anymore as it used to be.
Not too many people probably have those like whoa, like amazing experiences, because everyone's like smoked so much of it that it's like you probably get like a little buzz kind of feeling, or like for 30 minutes or like whatever. Who knows? I don't know.
I've been sober since May 10th, and so May 10th, like if I smoked right now, if I took the smallest hit ever, it would be like gone. The old times.
Yeah, it
would be insane. It would be like zonked. Definition of zonked.
I bet.
But anyway, I remember going into my science class, the class right before my math class one day, and I was the first person in the class, and my teacher, Mr. Frazier, a white guy, he was cleaning up something brown on the floor, and I was like, what is that? And he was like, it's a brownie. And I was like, oh, what a waste, because, I'm like, I could have eaten that. I love brownies,
Yeah.
And then he was like, no, not the special kind. And then in that moment, I was like, this motherfucker smokes weed, dude. This guy smokes weed. This is crazy. So then at the end of the class that day, he tells the whole class, he's like, hey, y'all, if y'all haven't heard of this artist, Kid Cudi, you need to listen to his song Day and Night. It's amazing. So then I'm like, okay, I'll go listen to this. And I had heard Kid Cudi's Pursuit of Happiness back in like 2010, 2011, whenever I watched Project X.
Yeah.
It was like the theme song for that. But I never like actually investigated his music.
You never listened to him.
Right, no. But the next class, when it was math class and I was able to put in some headphones and listen to music while I did my work, I listened to Day and Night by Kid Cudi, and it was the first time I ever felt like anybody ever was able to put into words what I was feeling, and I realized I wasn't alone. And like day and night, the lonely stoner seems to free his mind at night. And I was like, yo, this motherfucker is a stoner. This teacher, he's a stoner, man.
For sure.
But I was already smoking weed at this point, so I was like, wow, like this artist is me. And I was so blown away because for so long I hated rap music. I hated the culture of rap music and like all of that stuff. But the thing I liked so much about Cudi was that like, yeah, he's black, but it's like the streets and all that isn't like his whole personality.
Yeah. He really finds a way to like connect with people, because like he really, dude, Kid Cudi for me too. I'm sure for like a lot of people, but he's like that person that I can listen to and it's like I'm not alone. Like,
exactly.
He has thoughts that are fucked up, and you can see it, and especially in Speeding Bullet to Heaven.
Oh my god,
like,
dude.
When that album came out, that's when I was like I really am not alone. Like there's other people going through shit too. And I was like
it took me a long time to appreciate that album because I was still like during that time period, I was still like really in like my echo chamber of like electronic, like hip hop type of stuff. Kid Cudi, like old Cudi stuff, like not old, but like Man on the Moon 2 type of stuff. And like when he came out with that, like it was really hard for me to get on board with it because I was so against like rock music and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I realized I'm not alone and that there's someone else out there. And then he's able to actually like help me. Like I would listen to it and I would feel this overwhelming feeling of like, I guess it's love. I guess it was love. And he always said in interviews and in his music, like, this is for the kids like me.
Yep.
And I was like, man, this guy gets me. You know what I mean? So I spent a long time listening to him. And I got really inspired by, I guess Day and Night would be the song that inspired me to make music. I heard that and I was like, okay, like, I want to do what he's doing for people. I want to be able to put my pain into a solution and then help other people out. What was the song for you that you like definitively know? That
I know that like inspired me to be a musician?
Yes. Yeah, like what, like, oh, I want to use my voice and my music to help people.
To be honest, like I can't think of a certain artist that I listened to, but I know Kid Cudi was like, I was right there with you, like listening to Kid Cudi, and then like I kind of listened to all his music all the time. Like he was that artist that I'd go to and like always listen to everything he said. Like he was that artist for me as well, but I wouldn't say that I started music because of him. Like I'd say I started music because I had GarageBand on my iPhone and I knew that you could make music on there and shit. And then I had friends that rapped and they would always be freestyling in class and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. You guys can just make words up out of your mind and like just talk. and I could never do it. I was like, I'm too afraid to like just freestyle.
I couldn't do it.
And so I was like, hey man, I'm gonna see if I can make a beat on my phone for you. And then right there, I started making loops on GarageBand on my phone, and then he was like freestyling to it and everything. And then that was when I first started. I was like probably a sophomore in high school, and it was just because my friends were rapping. I was like, I kind of want to see if I can make a beat to it, you know?
So for you, it was more like a self-discovery. It was like a discovery process, as opposed to like for me, it was like I need to help people.
Yeah.
I wanted to save people. Like I felt like Kid Cudi saved me. I was like having suicidal thoughts, and this guy like saved me from that. He knows. I feel like he knows it, and if he doesn't, like, Cudi, you need to know this. Like,
yeah, right.
You are responsible for so many people being alive.
He really is. He really is, and he knows that too. He's. I think he's like said things like that.
Because people reach out to him anytime he's been in like a really hard time. Like for example, when he made Speeding Bullet to Heaven, like a lot of people reached out to him and told him like, you saved my life. And like that's what I wanted to do for people.
Yeah, man.
And the reason I actually felt like I could do it, not like, oh, I'm not black, or like, oh, I'm not Kid Cudi, I can't make music, was the first rapper I ever appreciated was Eminem. Because like my mom had this little MP3 player, this purple MP3 player, and she had a bunch of music on there like Disturbed, like get down with the sickness, like that kind of shit.
Right.
But she had Encore, the whole Eminem album on there, you know, like Toy Soldiers, Yellow Brick Road, all that kind of stuff. And I listened to it and I was like, you know, this is amazing that this white guy can do this. And I remember watching, even before I discovered Kid Cudi, I remember watching an interview about his life, like an hour long or like 30-minute piece about like his childhood and like his process of becoming a rapper and like facing against all the adversity that he had. And I was like, you know, like that's impressive. That's really awesome that he can do that. So like that's like the deep down thing that made me feel like I can do this if I really want to.
Right.
And then I have this like it's in one of my drawers over there, but I have like a little diary like with a teddy bear on it and some like letter blocks, like the kids that play with and spell letters.
Yeah.
I wrote my first song in there, and I even I put the N-word in it because I didn't know it was wrong or anything. I never actually made the song. Well, I made it after I made like a beat on FL Studio myself, and it was total fucking garbage. I used the laptop microphone to make the song, and it was bad. It was really bad.
I remember those days. I used to record with my laptop too, like the mic on my laptop when I first started.
It was really bad, but after I made the song, I was like, okay, I can't do this. I give up, and I'd like stopped thinking about music for like a long time. Like 2.5 years later, I got into like making YouTube videos and like editing, doing special effects, and like I wanted to make short films. And then I was just fucking around one day, and I discovered Little Dicky.
Yeah.
And it's this white guy talking about real stuff that he cares about, but he's making it sound hard. And I'm like, what? This is crazy. Can I make up stuff that any other rapper would say, but make it corny and still make it sound cool just by like the way you use your voice?
Right.
And so I started doing it. I made a song on Sony Vegas Pro, video editing software. I found a cool beat online. I wrote to it, made a whole song. I performed it to people, and they were like, yo, that's fire. Like, okay, so I went and recorded it. And that's that little vegan music video I showed you.
Yeah.
It's that song.
Oh, okay.
So I made that, and I was like, oh, shit, I can do this.
Right.
So then I downloaded FL Studio, some sort of pirated version of it, like everything in it. Like I even got Morphine and all that, and like Harmless. Like Sakura, like all those programs that you can't get unless you buy the higher versions. Like I got all that stuff. But I wasn't into making beats back then, so like I went and got auto-tune software, and I started using YouTube videos, like how to sound like Post Malone, how to sound like this artist, how to sound like that artist, and like I learned how to mix technically through all those YouTube videos and like the discovery process and stuff like that. And first I was just saying everything everyone else was saying, like hoes, bitches, drugs, money, cars, you know, everything. Because I was using the crutch of their words so I can work on the engineering and the style.
I see. You were using it like a backbone to your music.
Yeah.
To how you started. Because like it is easy to like use other artists for inspiration for sure. Like you know, some people all they do is make music like other people. Like some people just are clones of other people, you know. Like,
yeah, that's what I was doing.
But it's easy to get there. Like it's easy to make music like that. It's just convenient, you know.
I would become obsessed with a specific artist, and I would start making song after song sounding just like them, and then I would get bored of them, and then move on to another artist.
Yeah, I do that too in a way. Like I try to sound very generic or whatever. Like try to sound like myself. But a lot of my inspiration comes out in my songs. Like people tell me all the time, like you sound like this person, you sound like that person. Some people, they tell me I sound like I don't even know who they are, like the artist.
Right, that happens to me all the time. When I would make songs back in the day when I was copying people or just like trying to sound cool. One time people were like, "You sound like Suicide Boys." I was like, "I don't even know who that is." Like,
yeah.
And then I heard them, I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like, and sometimes it's a serious compliment. Like people tell you sound like someone else.
It really is. It really is. Especially like if you get a compliment that you sound like somebody like Kid Cudi, but you weren't even trying to sound like that person. You know what I mean? Like that's a compliment, because in a way it's like, oh, I'm good enough to be myself because it's the song you made and it's like all from scratch, organic. Then it's like I could tell you were inspired by this guy or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But you weren't even trying to do that. Like,
yeah. Anytime that I show you something and you're like, this gives me Cudi vibes, I feel like I achieved something, because like if I'm emulating the person who made me in a way, you know, like I'm doing what I set out to do in the very beginning. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
In terms of like the purpose of your music, when did you discover that like you wanted to do something more with it than just like, have fun fucking around?
Have fun. Like to me, from the start, it's always been like, you know, I kind of just want to see what I'm capable of, right? Yeah. Like, you know, it was like my friends are rapping, so I want to like make beats for them. So then it got to the point where it's like I'm gonna start making music because I hear these people and I'm seeing what they can do, and it's like I kind of want to sound like them, like Brockhampton for sure.
Yeah, that's a big inspiration for you.
They're the people that really got me to like say, okay, I kind of want to start putting my music on SoundCloud, because I didn't release music until like my senior year in high school. Like that's when I really started taking it serious, because I never really took it serious. But there was never really like a moment I could say like I made a message for myself, because I got in a really dark fucking place after high school, like the last year of high school, which is weird because it's like, you know, I kind of wanted to release music, but then I got into this place where it's like simultaneously I didn't want to be famous, I didn't want to be anybody, I kind of just wanted the world to forget about me, and I was just in a really dark place. So I was like, everything I was creating came out dark, and everything, you know, I was saying was just bad, and I was like, there's got to be a positive way out. Like in the back of my mind, I was always thinking like, I have to leave behind a positive message. If I release these songs, like,
yeah, if you die one day and they're gonna go listen to your music,
it's gotta be
something meaningful.
Right. Yeah. So once I realized, like, you know, I got something going on, you know, I need to be more healthy emotionally and mentally, all that, I was just thinking to myself, like the lyrics that I'm putting out need to be, you know, better. So
yeah, I realized that as well.
I worked at it, but I never really thought that it mattered. Like I knew that lyrics were important, but I never really thought that a message would be like portrayed.
I spent like a good 2.5 years, like the beginning of my music making progress. Like I started the summer after sophomore year.
Yeah.
That's when I first made that little vegan song, a big ass dick.
Yeah, it was like a joke.
Bitches ain't ready for this big ass dick.
Right.
It was a joke, yeah. And then I decided I wanted to like blow up as a meme, and then like become famous. And like I started like I saw Rich Brian or Rich Chicka or whatever. He was Rich Chicka back then, and he changed his name after he got more famous. And I was like, I want to be famous so bad. And like looking back, I cannot find for the life of me why I wanted to be famous. I cannot figure it out. What was it that made me feel like I want people to look at me? I want fans. Like, I can't think to myself. I can't even figure it out. What was it? It was just like this feeling. Like, I guess it was like I spent my whole life going unnoticed and being the awkward, weird kid in the corner of the class nobody wanted to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, we also like watch a lot of people that are famous on TV or listen to a lot of people that are famous, and all they're saying is like I'm fucking your bitch and I got a gold chain on that's worth $10,000 your whole paycheck, you know. Like, it's like you kind of feel like shit listening to that, and it's like,
because I don't have any of that.
Well, I want to do that,
right?
know?
I want to be successful
because whatever. I hear it in a song or see it on TV, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember wanting to be famous so bad. Like, I feel like it's gonna happen if it's gonna happen, you know. People do it without intention.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can go try to be famous. It's like being a TikTok star. It makes you cringe on the deeply inside. It makes your fucking intestines wind up watching somebody trying to be famous. It's so annoying. Like, I feel like fame comes with success in the music industry and like film industry and anything like that. Unless you're totally anonymous. Like, you don't show anybody your face. Even then, though, like, your artist name, who you really are, like, in that artistry, that's what becomes famous.
Right.
I feel like I do want recognition for the work I put in my music, and I do want recognition for, like, how good I know my music is. Mm-hmm. I'm not insecure about my craft anymore, because, like you were saying, like, you eventually came to the conclusion, like, okay, I can't make these fuck songs anymore, because if I die or if anything happens, like, this needs to be a meaningful thing that happened. Mm-hmm. And even though I set off from the very start with that as my intention, because I discovered, after giving it up, I discovered Lil Dicky, and I was like, hold on, I think I can learn how to do this. And so, like, for a long time, like 2.5 years, I like learned how to do it. Mm-hmm. And then I got to a point when my songs sounded pretty professional, and I was like, all right, I need to like do some shit with it. I need to take this serious, otherwise it's gonna be like really, because I would show it to people like my dad or my mom, and they would just pick it apart instead of appreciating it. But it's because it was just like everybody else. I was just being a copycat. And so then I realized, like, okay, now I got my craft. Now I know what I'm doing. Now I need to figure out how to intertwine like the new skills I've acquired in rapping like everyone else and like make it meaningful. Like, I was going through like a really big spiritual process at the time too.
Right.
And like I was trying to find a way to like implement that into my music. And it took so long to figure out how to implement that.
To fuse the two.
Yeah. Like, you know me now, like that's all my music is. It's just that spiritual stuff. But it took a long time to figure that out. You guys don't know this because you probably don't even know who I am. If you're watching this, you know who he is.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop his stuff in the description box. I'm gonna like put everything, like a link to his Instagram, SoundCloud, Spotify, all those things. It's gonna be in there.
But basically, like, I was working with this guy, Israel Rose, with my friend Anthony. I met him because this other guy, Alec Dino Brega, Dino 111 or 111 Dino, I don't even know. He was at my school with me, and I was making music before he was, and then all of a sudden he jumped on the bandwagon. It's like everyone started making music at the same time, all these SoundCloud rapping ass people. Yeah. And he made a shit song, in my opinion. I mean, it sounded cool. It sounded like a Little Peep song, and apparently there was 3 people on the song. It sounded like the same voice the whole song. But it blew up. It got like 1,000 views, and I was like really jealous because I had already been working on music and stuff. But it's because I wasn't popular. This guy was already popular because he was one of the bad kids. You didn't have like a big following on Instagram, and you didn't have like people were passing it around school because he was popular. You know, like if you do bad stuff in school, you become popular. Like if you break the rules, you're popular. And I wasn't like that.
You were kind of like in the background kind of.
Right. Like, exactly. I feel like that's where the desire to be famous came from. And like now that I'm alone and I live my own like adult life, I don't really have the desire for everyone to know me like I used to. I would love to be appreciated, and I would love for my career to be something I actually like feel joy from doing, not like fucking cleaning pools all the time.
Yeah.
But
it would be nice to.
It would be really nice, yeah. But yeah, anyway, I met Anthony because I had this song Hypothermia, which I think I'm still gonna release it. Honestly, it's really good. it still holds up. Even though I was copying like Joji and stuff, when I listen to the song now, I can't even tell.
No, yeah, it's a good song.
It just sounds like me.
It's a good song, dude.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But yeah, Alec Dino Brega sent me a Snapchat video. I don't know how I ended up getting him on Snapchat, but I got a video. He sent me a video of him and his boys jamming to that song in the car. They were all singing the words. I was like, what the fuck? Popular people know my music and they think it's good. What? So then this other guy, RJ. Do you know RJ?
Yeah.
RJ. I met RJ at school, and he introduced me to Anthony. He brought him over with him one day. We were supposed to make a song. We ended up just smoking like 4 blunts. Yeah. I was so fucking high I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
It used to get to a point whenever I would be so high and so bored and so exhausted, like I didn't feel like mixing or engineering or anything, because I was the one doing all the work. Everyone was just rapping and being creative. I was the one doing all the computer shit, man. And it got really tiring.
That's actually, even being sober, that's a lot of, takes a toll on you.
Yeah, exactly. Especially whenever you're the one doing it for other people, mostly. Like,
yeah.
Like I could do my shit pretty easy, and like I had a serious struggle like writing in front of people.
Really?
Like if other people were around, I couldn't write my music.
You couldn't write or
I couldn't come. I felt really insecure for some reason. Nowadays, I'm amazing at it. I can sit there and like freestyle some shit that's worth it. But yeah, I mean, Anthony.
It's always awkward in the studio, like trying to find the vibe between certain people, because sometimes you make music with people that
if you don't know who they are yet, if you don't know who they are yet, but like once you and I got to know each other, it became really easy. It took you a lot longer than it took me.
I'm really like
a shy guy.
Slow to shit, so I take my time with like people.
Right. Yeah.
I really take my time.
Yeah. But
I know people don't. I'm sure people don't care about that. Like, nobody cares how another person lives their life, as long as like you show that each other are committing to at least hanging out with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes like you can hang out with someone and automatically like I'm probably never gonna hang out with this person again.
Yep. You get that vibe.
Yeah.
When I first met Anthony and like RJ brought him over, I told him straight up, like, because I wanted the music to be good if we were gonna work on music, I told him, I was like, look, we're friends first, and then we're like music buddies or whatever, but like our friendship comes first. I didn't even know the guy. I don't even know why, what inspired me to say that, but I did. And like me and him have been friends ever since. We don't have to talk every day. We don't talk every day. And we're still good friends. I could go to his house and hang out with him and it's like no time passed. Like we've tripped on psychedelics together, and I feel like when you do stuff like that with people, they become a part of yourself.
Right.
Like we are one and the same. Like we're like the same soul in a different body kind of thing. It's like that's how it is with a lot of my friends. Like if I was born in your body, I would become you. Like
yes. Like, I know what you mean.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. That all that happened, and we ended up making a bunch of music. Some of it got really popular.
For the bitch I don't have.
That song has a 111.
Yeah.
100,000 views.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's pretty cool. It's been there for a long time. I think that might be where it bottoms out. I'll be happy about that. 111. But yeah, I eventually just decided like I can't release music like that anymore. I have to have standards, because I was just making songs and dropping whatever.
Right. Because you were making music and it was like kind of just, I wouldn't say like fuck shit, because I really don't see music as like always needing to have a meaning, like, because everyone has a subjective version of what it is, because people do see it like the words need to be lyrical. People do have that vision.
Lyrical, miracle, spiritual.
Yeah. Or I honestly see it as an art. That's how I see it. Like,
yeah.
And art is also like the word art, like the way someone sees art is also different, It's
very subjective.
Very subjective.
It's just an expression.
I see art as it shouldn't have a price to it. It shouldn't be just because it's an abstract piece of work. Like now it's worth $10,000. Like I think that's so dumb. I think it's so dumb. And then the Mona Lisa or whatever, like, that they call it priceless, but the Mona Lisa or works of art like that shouldn't be, you know, portrayed as such fancy things. Like, it shouldn't be of high value. It should just be something that people can appreciate without needing to put a price on it. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty is all in the eyes of the beholder anyhow. Mm-hmm. Like, you can look at the Mona Lisa and be like, it's just a fucking picture of a chick. It's not special.
Yeah.
What makes it special is that it was made by Leonardo da Vinci.
Right.
And he like repainted over it like how many times? Like so many. Like, it's not even the original what are they, muse. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's besides the point. You're right. Yeah. Music doesn't always have to have a meaning. Like, that song that you reposted by the Un61 or whatever, like some guy on SoundCloud, like with like a really weird name.
That's my boy Nami.
That's him?
Yeah, that's my boy Nami.
So he's got 2 accounts?
Yeah, I think he has like multiple accounts.
Because it's like a picture of like a black man's chest with a chain on it. Is that him?
Yep.
I pressed liked and added it to my playlist. Like, that song is fire. Why does he have so many accounts, dude?
Like Instagram accounts or like?
No, SoundCloud. Because like that was a different SoundCloud account than his normal SoundCloud account.
I think he kind of like just tries to restart a lot. I don't know. But
anyway, I was
you're talking about
it blew up like really fast. You posted it on your story, and when I went to go look at it, it only had like 50 views or something. And then I went back on there recently. It's got like 1,000. But it's because it's good.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have meaning to it either. Like, it's mostly just like a bomb ass fire like experience to listen to it.
Right. That's kind of what I like. I like that music can be freeing, you know, and sometimes that's good enough. Like, as long as it feels good that you made something.
Yeah.
I think it's
intention matters a lot with it. Because if it's just your intention to fuck around and have fun, make a good song, it's easy to do.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons I focused so hard on like the meaning and stuff is because like when people are down and they're like about to commit suicide and shit, I want my music to be something they can go to and be like, or like come across on accident, and then they're like, I never thought about it like that, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you're saying that the fusing of the two, like the way you live life and what you want to say, along with like your music persona, like that fusing was hard to do.
Dude, it took so long. I don't even know what made it happen. It's just, I stopped making music with other people.
Right.
When I started living in my cave.
Right.
And then I started living in my own universe, especially after tripping. I don't know. Sorry, we don't know when it stopped. Every 30 minutes it stops itself. Oh, it's recording again.
Okay, so.
I don't know what the battery percentage is. I don't know how to bring it back on the screen. It'll die when it dies. Oh, it's still full bars. We're good.
Yeah, so we'll just.
That's okay.
Bring it back.
We were out of camera for I don't know how long. I wasn't paying attention. I should have been. 4 minutes. 4 minutes, no camera. That was okay though.
Yeah, that's fine.
People can listen to it for a little bit. But yeah, like I feel like it's really a personal thing, music.
Definitely is a personal thing.
So you never wanted to be famous?
No, I did.
You did?
But I didn't want to be famous for music. Music is just something like I kind of like picked up along the way.
Right. So it wasn't like your focus
but
ever.
What I wanted to be famous for was starting like a clothing brand. Like that's what I was known for in high school.
Kanye West over here.
Yeah. If people knew me in high school, it was that I made shirts and I drew like cool pictures.
Oh, that's dope as fuck. See, I didn't know you in high school.
Yeah.
We didn't get to this. The whole reason I brought up Anthony was so that I could bring up how I met you.
Oh. Yeah.
So
it's cool how we all met.
Yeah. So you started following his music, and you started being like, "Yo, this is really good," and you started following him on Instagram, and then you found that I was working with him. So then you started listening to my music, and you followed me on Instagram. Yeah. And then I went to go listen to your music because I seen that you were making some music.
Yeah.
Mila, no. So I started listening to your music, and I was like, you know, your mixing wasn't like that wasn't your specialty. It wasn't something you were focused on so much.
No,
but
definitely not.
I had discovered that your meaning in your music was really there, though. Like you had deep meaning. You're like a poet. Yeah. The way you write is very poetry. It's like Shakespeare type shit. You know what I mean?
do like meaning for sure. Yeah. Like I'm not saying that I don't put meaning in my songs, but I love to put meaning.
Yeah, it's very good.
I was saying how in high school, like, music was never actually the thing that I wanted to do or be famous for, and you asked me like what I wanted to be famous for, which was the clothing brand.
Yeah.
And
I wanted to be an actor and a movie director for so long, dude.
Yeah.
Before I had music, I had like film as my big thing.
Same. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, that too. That slowly became something I decided I was not going to be able to do.
Yeah.
I'm not interesting enough to be a YouTuber, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean...
And then when I discovered how much work it takes, every single day doing nothing but working on videos and like...
Well, it's like a job.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at it like a job, eventually you'll start to get paid, and then you won't have to see it as a job anymore. It'll just be fun. Maybe.
I hope it's fun.
Yeah, I hope.
I feel like I would get tired. Like I remember watching PewDiePie a lot, and then he would make videos explaining why he hadn't uploaded for the day yet, or why he was behind.
Yep.
And then he's showing like his edit that he was working on, and that fucking file was gigantic. And, like it took fucking like a whole day to render that bitch. And I was like, I don't want to be like this.
Yeah.
He was because he was stressing the fuck out. Now, if you don't notice, most of his stuff is like from live streams that he clips.
Right.
Or he like the way he does things is a lot different now. I haven't watched PewDiePie in a long time. Once he became really, really big, I stopped watching him.
Yeah, he was always big though. He was always like
he was the biggest.
At the top.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still is. Like, who is it now? Jake Paul or like?
Yeah, somebody like that. Somebody I've never heard of. I think is the top YouTuber now.
Yeah, somebody's like the king of YouTube at this point, but no. Yeah, when I was a kid, I always watched like parody videos, and I always wanted to like make parodies of like music videos.
Dude. Yes.
I wanted to like make like Nerf wars. Like
I have videos like that on the internet right now.
Yeah.
Like people shooting guns and like shitty special effects.
That's exactly what I was trying to do. And then like it's just so strange how like dreams die. Like the older you get, like it's not a good thing either.
I feel like what the real issue is because when you're young you have nothing to do all the time, so you're trying to fill up with something to do, and you have all this creative juice in you. And then when you get older, you have all this adult like system, like matrix and shit. You gotta like you have no choice but to attend to.
Yeah.
So then you're stuck like trying to maintain that, and then you feel like you don't have the energy after doing all that to like actually pursue something you feel like you actually feel like doing.
Yep. It's always hard, like, trying to adjust to every day, because, like...
Rat race.
Every day is, like, a new thing. There's, like, new things to do, and, like... Yeah. I'm always looking for a way to, like, just get out of that, Like, I always get out of it no matter what. Like, that mundane feeling of, like, becoming an adult. Or, like, the rat race is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, whatever happens, like... You're just gonna grow old no matter what. Like, you're gonna keep growing, and it's like, are you gonna keep that mentality that you had when you were a child, or are you gonna like
that's
like turn into a rock? Like, you know what I mean?
The goal is to not become a rock.
You don't want to be a rock.
You gotta stay soft.
Yeah, you gotta keep that mentality of like everything's interesting all the time, like and psychedelics can definitely help with that. Like mushrooms, like. Whenever you trip on a mushroom, like it's not like I would definitely disconnect it from weed. It's a whole different thing for sure.
Yeah, it's like space.
Yeah.
It's like space travel as compared to riding in an airplane.
But the thing about mushrooms compared to weed, for me, is that when I smoke weed, I would get paranoid.
Yeah, dude. Yes, especially when it wasn't like. Now that I'm an adult, I wouldn't get paranoid. But back then, like when I knew I could get caught in trouble for it, like, oh, dude, it was a big deal.
But that was like a learning experience. Like, I knew what I was getting into when I didn't know what I was getting into when I smoked. Like, I just smoked and smoked until when I was a kid, until I like
you felt something,
got that paranoid feeling or whatever. But I had like a second chance taking shrooms because I could start slow and like know this is my threshold, like 2 grams, whatever, a gram, and it's like I don't have to take a full dose, you know, because it's like with shrooms, I don't know, you kind of like, it's not like weed at all. Like, you kind of explore parts of your mind that you couldn't explore before. It's like
it like turns on neurons that don't usually fire at the same. It like creates lines of thought in the brain that don't naturally form in the normal state of consciousness. And the way I've seen somebody describe like LSD and shrooms, because they're similar. I feel like LSD is like the speed run version of shrooms. Have you ever done LSD?
No, I never will.
You never will?
I never will.
I love it. It's a lot more intense. It's a lot more serious. Shrooms is a lot more like... Shrooms is like you're laying on the beach and the waves are coming under your legs, and they're like making you feel that cold sensation of getting wet, and then it's going away, and then it keeps going over and over and over until eventually like the tides stop moving. But like LSD is like a tsunami smashes you in the face all at once, and then you have to like go home and take a shower and like dry off and recover, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, you know, kind of thing. But both require the strength to surrender your free will and like your free will of thought, and like, I could die right now type of thing. Like, you always think, am I dying? Or like, will I die? Or like, you know, you always have to surrender when it comes to those substances. But the metaphor I've heard to describe what LSD or mushrooms does is, imagine your mind is like a slope, like a hill, and it's covered in snow. And like all your thoughts are like different kids or like different people riding down the slope on a sled. And eventually like the same thoughts go down the same line so many times that it creates an imprint on that hill that pretty much no matter what thought goes down the hill, it ends up going into those
same
imprints.
Direction.
Exactly. And then it gets so wide to the point where like there is no more free thought. It's just imprinted on the hill. But whenever you take shrooms or you do LSD, it resets. It's like a new snowfall day. It resets the hill of thought, and it allows you to create new thought patterns. But what most people do, because they're not using it as a medicine, they're not using it as like a tool, they're just getting fucked up, they end up going right back to their old ways of thinking, and it does nothing for them.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting, because I tried to see it as a medicine as well, and every time I've taken it, you get a message. There's always like, oh, I'm doing this, and I can do it this way. And it's like, I know it's right now. I know what the answer is. And then it's weird. It's like I go back because it's like, fuck that. Like, yeah, I know. I'll get back to it later. It's like kind of like when you're like so stuck on what you want to do, you don't listen to that part of yourself. Like, because I couldn't say that I've taken enough to have an ego death. I can't say that.
You've only taken microdoses?
Yeah.
Dude.
And
my first trip I ever had on mushrooms, I had an ego death. I was like in 8th grade, dude. I was like laying in my bed when it kicked. I was like walking around my house looking in the mirror. I was like,
right.
And my mom came home from the bar and I stole her mushrooms. She didn't know till later on, but like they were hers. I took like 2 or 3. Like they were the blue ones. And she came home and I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna go back in bed, lay down, put on some music. I put in the music in the headphones. I closed my eyes. I think it was Kid Cudi, but I could see a black man playing a saxophone. The outline, it was all colorful in my mind. I could see the music. I was like, what the fuck? And then eventually it got to the point where I would like sit up in my bed and I would think about myself and I'm like, who am I? I would be verbling out of my mouth like, who am I? What is this? What's going on? And then I'd be like, I would think my name is Tim and I'm like, the sense of like,
I've experienced that.
Like, like you think of your name right now and you're like, yeah, that's me.
That's me.
But when you're tripping on this stuff and you say your name like, even out louder in your head,
isn't like, here.
It doesn't
like,
exist.
Nothing's here. It's like
the like, what is it? The correlation between the sense of self and the name doesn't exist anymore.
You know what it's like? It's like the voice that we're recording on FL, as if it was so delayed to the point where it's like you say something and it's like over here. It's kind of like that.
I get what you're saying.
The feeling is the separation.
Yes, it's like you're like no
the
longer
association with what the words mean compared to.
Yeah.
I've felt that before.
Yeah, that's what ego death is.
I think I've had an ego death, but I didn't know what it was because I was fucked up, man. Like the weed definitely got me to that point, but that's where I was like, when shrooms came along, I was like, I kind of want to take it slow.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have another ego death.
Yeah.
Like, that shit's not fun. Like, it's whatever. Like, people go there and do the heroic dose. Like,
heroic dose.
That's what it's called, like 5 grams and up.
I've taken 5 grams.
That's a heroic dose. But I thought to myself, like, I need to take this slow because if I take it too much, like I'm gonna fuck my brain up probably. Like I don't know.
So that's the fear. That's like the real ego death comes from when you take too much and you're like it's trying to wash away your whole consciousness. Like it's trying to erase your sense of self.
Like rebirth you.
Yeah, basically it's trying to erase you. Like it's like being lit up with fire and burned till you're gone. Like incinerated. And like there's a huge fear like I'm gonna be fucked up and I won't survive this. Yeah. And that's where like the gift of surrender comes. Like if you can figure out how to surrender and just let yourself die, I've died a lot of times. That's what psychedelics do to me. I die every time. And so like if you learn how to die, if you learn how to get good at death, it becomes a strength, especially in life, even when you're sober. Like things can be stressing me out and then I can just remember like I don't have control. This life, I'm being lived. I'm not living my life. I am being lived.
And also there's always like another side to everything. Like what you feel now, as horrible as it may be, it's not going to be like that forever. Like there's another side.
Nothing lasts forever. The only thing that doesn't change is the fact that everything changes.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. Impermanence is the only permanent thing. Constant fluctuation, constant evolution. That's the only thing that never stops in life. And you can never get used to it, really.
To the feeling of like...
To constant change, because you're always changing with it. So you never get to the point where you're like, I'm good with this. Like, you're always having to step up your game.
Right.
You're always having to get out of your comfort zone. You cannot live comfortably. It's not allowed. Life does not allow you to be comfortable.
No, because if you're comfortable, then once you get to that point of like too much comfort, you're basically dead. Because like without stress, you're dead.
There's a
because like your body is like tense all the time, like at a certain point. But when a body dies, like it actually weighs less. Like
it's true. Yeah. The soul has a mass.
Yeah.
It has mass. It's actually like light. Photons are physical. Like if you had like a black card and a white card on one side, and it's like on a spinner, like it spins like this. Like it's like people have those wind dials in their front yard and it spins because the wind blows on it. If you have a piece of paper or whatever that's black and the other side is white on this side, if you hit the black side with a light, like a really powerful, like a light that gives off heat, it's gonna move it because it's black. But if you point at the white side, nothing happens because it's reflecting all the light. So photons actually have mass, and the soul is made of light, like it's photons. So your consciousness is not like, it uses the brain like a radio signal, like a television, And like, let's say like when you die, the television goes all staticky and there's no more signal there. And then it turns off and it can't be turned back on again. But like the signal itself is what you are. Like we are the consciousness. We are like the signal that the body, the television is receiving.
Right.
And it's like if your body, if like your signal is fucked up, you got your antennas bent up the wrong way, you're only going to be receiving like half the signal into the body or whatever, whatever it may be. It'll be spotty. And so it's going to be like times of like really low vibration, as people call it, like you're doing shitty things, you're not being very conscious with your thoughts. It's like that's why it's really important to get in tune with your body. Get your body in tune with you.
Yep. Why do you say low vibrations like that?
Because I mean, in like terms of vibration, like slower vibration is a low vibration, faster like is high vibration.
High, yeah, way up
but
there.
But the way people think of it is positive and negative. But positive and negative aren't really what we think of it as.
Like the way we perceive positive and negative,
right?
Like
yeah,
the connotation to it.
They're the same thing. It's like a low C and a high C. It's like that. So there's no difference. But you don't consider one bad and the other one good. They're just two different frequencies. They're just two different octaves of the same key.
Right.
And so it's the same thing. Like there is service to self in the universe and there's service to others. But ultimately, like you realize, like this is all one consciousness. Like God God is the whole universe. That we're like thoughts in God's mind. And like,
yeah.
Whenever you take psychedelics and you lose that sense of self, it's because you're like the separated self, which is Tim, is being erased or like washed away for the moment. And God is the only thing that remains, like true consciousness. Like, and so in that term, like there is no good or bad. There only is what there is.
Yeah.
It's like it's just part of the story. Like you can't have a hero's journey without the villain, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's all one consciousness going through this thing. That's why like things like rape and murder can happen. Like people are question about the existence of God. Like God's not human. God doesn't think about things from the human perspective. Like why would you let my daughter get raped and murdered and like she was 5 years old, this kind of thing. But in reality, like there is a degree of free will on the individual level, like you and me, like we make our decisions, we choose to do fucked up stuff. But at the end of the day, like how the Bible refers, like not saying the Bible is ultimate truth or anything, but like there's truth in all religions. God is outside of time and space. Yep. If you create something, you have to be outside of it. I made this music, I'm outside of it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so like when the creator created reality, it's outside of time and space. Time and space is like a sculpture it's solid. Like it's solid like this microphone. You see, it's not changing shape. It's staying exactly the way it is. Imagine from here to here, past, like as far back as the past will go and as far as the future will go. And they both like, imagine it's like a donut, like a circle. Like they both end up creating each other or whatever. So the things that are supposed to happen will always happen. There's no such thing as imbalance and there's no such thing as disharmony in the universe. No matter how disharmonic something feels.
Right.
In reality, it's just resistance. So like the life is trying to change you, and anytime you feel negativity, stress, or anxiety, it's because you're resisting the change that life is trying to inflict upon you and stuff like that. It's like life is sandpaper and it's trying to mold you to be smooth.
Yep.
And like you're trying to hold shape.
Yep.
Yeah, I had this like constant recurring nightmare when I would be asleep. When I would like see a man, like the outline of a man, and it would be like really grainy, like really like rigid, and like it would start really rigid and grainy, like super minute details and like really like pointy and like not like a bunch of points on it or anything, but I just mean like really grainy, like grimy, like lots of stuff, and it would stress me out when it would appear, when I would see it in my dream. And then it would smooth out and become nothing but the outline of a person. And whenever that happened, I became really at ease. Like it looked like it was made of sand, and the sand was like really fine and really visible in the first part. But then it would like become smooth, and whenever it became smooth, I would get really relaxed. And it would happen over and over again.
That's interesting.
The more rigid you are, and the more stubborn and resistant you are to like
change.
To change, not only to change, but just like surrender. Like if you want to control anything in your life, you have a rude awakening coming. You can't control your life. You have to play the part you're meant to play, whatever. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, this is just a play that leads to like God's creation, you might say. Like
yeah, because it's like
ultimate enlightenment. The truth of like all of reality becoming aware of itself is what God is, and that's when God becomes born or whatever, and then it ends up like creating itself. I don't know. There's too many layers to it. But.
The truth of it, in like just the simplest way, I'm gonna simplify it for you.
Okay.
Is like you cannot, like me as a person, let's say I'm trying to make a movie. I can't do everything all at once.
Like,
right. I need
you can't
a crew.
just whole movie made right away. You have to lay it out piece by piece, step by step.
I can't be Johnny Depp. You know, I personally can't. Yeah. You know, I can write his story. I can write his words, but I can't say it. I can't be the one on the film.
You can't hold the camera. You can't write the script. You can't edit the movie. And you can't act it all at the same time. You need other people.
And that's how it should be. Like, you cannot control.
Yeah.
You know.
Plus, it's like if you wondered about the purpose of life, imagine God is just infinite void. Like it's just like consciousness and emptiness, basically. Like whether it's light or dark, it doesn't really matter. It's probably light. Actually, I think the light would come after all of it's awakened and then reunited with itself, and then it knows what it is, and that's what like achieved God consciousness is, as like the whole universe. It's like everything is light, but it starts out dark, and so like you wonder like what the purpose of life is, and so if you think about it like this, it's like if all you are is all that there is, will, or ever was, then like what's the fun in that? It would be so much more fun to separate yourself into a trillion infinite life forms and then awaken back onto yourself. It's like you don't know how beautiful. It's like imagine living your whole life without seeing your reflection. You don't know what you look like. You don't know if you're beautiful. You don't know what you are. Mm-hmm. The only way to see yourself is if you were on the outside or look through a mirror. Mm-hmm. And so in order for God to perceive itself, it has to forget everything, be born in a physical vessel because God is the opposite of form. And then it has to discover itself again from the outside and look at itself and be like, wow, look at my magnificence, and appreciate itself. So God created us to love himself or love itself. Mm-hmm. So it's like we're all just mirrors of each other because we're all one consciousness. We're all one sense of self.
No, yeah, it is cool. Like everything is cool.
Yeah, it's like not. It's a fascinating story. It's like the most amazing. Like we're living in the most amazing movie ever made.
Yeah.
You could never make any form of art that could encapsulate the beauty of the mystery of life.
That is so true.
And I feel like that's like part of like the pain in creating music or art or videos or just anything in general, because you can never capture the feeling you're getting. It's like instead of living life and enjoying the mystery, we're trying to bottle it up and sell it. Or like we're trying to bottle it up and like own it and be like, I created
how
this.
Things are.
When in reality, like we're just supposed to live this life. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like in some way, like unless you're just out in public, just playing music on the spot, like improvising everything, making some beautiful harmonies and stuff, like I feel like that's the purpose of real music.
Definitely.
Like making it like this, what we do kind of, and like releasing it and being like, oh, this and that. Like I feel like that's not really what music is made for. Like back in the day before there was technology to record music and play it back, all there was the talent and like the moment of making the music live and like being the music. And like I feel like that's the real purpose of it. And like theater, people were being the storytellers as opposed to like capturing it and playing it on a screen. Like so like I feel like technology in a way has kind of pushed us back away from the meaning of life. Technology
has, in my opinion, set us back. Like, it hasn't progressed us anyway. I honestly don't think technology is doing anything really for us at all. No. Like, I think it has frozen everybody. Like, I
think that
if there was no technology, like, if there was no such thing as
digital electronic technology, we might say, because technology, like computers,
because everyone now is so obsessed with themselves.
Yes.
Like, we're not really focused on the world, like the moment, everything.
The collective.
Right. And if there was no such thing as like Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, like none of that, if none of that existed and everybody kind of like just made stuff that progressed, like if everyone, not just like, you know what I mean, like everyone, instead of we're all just trying to take pictures of whatever, like food we make and like shit like that.
That's why like religions all talk about a time whenever the world ends and there's like the end of the way things are and the beginning of a new thing. I really truly believe that the only way that a new level of worldwide enlightenment will ever come will be after like either a cataclysm that destroys the infrastructure, or like some kind of worldwide blackout, or like
that is the only
some
way.
kind of alien intervention.
That is really the only way, because like we were saying, like we can't control anything. You can't be God. So just because
you can't encapsulate like, God in your body. You can't like hold God hostage and be like, this belongs to me.
No, I feel like if you were to be able to do that, you'd turn into that dude on Indiana Jones when he opened the thing. And he just like, because
or you'd become like a light being and you would no longer have a sense of self. You'd just be like a function of the universe, like a fucking, like how ants just exist and do their thing or whatever, like computer programs going around. You'd be like that. You wouldn't be autonomous anymore. But you can't just snap out of it. Like people smoke DMT like I did. Like you smoke DMT and try to like beat the system and get out of the matrix.
Right.
But like in reality, like there's a process to this. You're walking up the stairs. You can't just take the elevator and be right there. There's no elevator in life. You gotta walk up the stairs. It's like it's gonna, like Jesus in the Bible says, like you have to take up your cross. That means suffer willingly. Go through all the painful shit in life on purpose and do it like with will. Like be like, I sign up for this. Do it and then die. Like give your life away. Don't let it be taken from you. Like Jesus said, like you cannot take my life. I give it willingly. So like you gotta be totally unattached to physical life, because you have to realize life exists outside of whatever this illusion that we're in is.
Yep.
And I feel like music, especially this music that I've been making and everything, like it's just another thing to attach me to my physical life and feel like, you know, like, no, I can't leave yet. I have to do this. And I'm going to do it while I'm here, probably. But I feel like the only true way I could ever experience true enlightenment is if I just gave up everything.
Yeah, for sure. Like meditating for 40 days under a tree like Buddha. Like
something, you know, like...
That is whatever, like, there's many ways to enlightenment.
It's not just going to happen one day. It's not just going to, like... You're not just going to snap out of it and become enlightened one day. No. But I also don't think you can work your way up to it either. I feel like the earth is on a path that it's on right now, and what's going to happen is going to happen no matter what you're doing with your free will. And the recording stopped. Do you want to keep going, or do you want to call this quits?
I think we can wrap it up here. Yeah, we've had like a really good conversation.
Let me just start one more video.
Okay.
All right. So we're running low on battery power anyway on the camera. So we're gonna call it quits here. We're gonna chop it down. It's an hour and 3 minutes in recording, but we're gonna chop it down, see how much like rambling we can take out and like useless information. But we're gonna leave as much as we can in it too, because this became a really good talk.
Yeah, this was a great episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for joining me in the podcast, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be down to do it anytime. We'll streamline the process eventually, and we'll get better at doing everything. Yeah. I'll have my camera charged when you get here next time, so that way we can just like start it right away.
Bet.
Like how other people do it, just like you don't have any pre-conversations. You just like walk right in the room. All right.
Yeah, just go for it.
How's your day? Like, what have you been? Like, we'll just organically flow our way into whatever's on our mind.
Right.
So yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tuning in. Stay tuned for next episode.